Some years ago, I decided to, for whatever reason, to acquire a real estate license. I got it, but I never used it. And in the process of studying for this real estate license, I ran across a very interesting real estate principle. And this real estate principle turns out to be the main message of today's gospel reading. So let's take a look at this real estate principle. It's a little thing called an abstractive title. Now, this is the definition of an abstractive title. You don't need to know this if you're not going to study to get a real estate license, but if that's your quest, you need to know this because it's on the test. An abstractive title is a condensed history of your property that mentions the current and all former owners from the present all the way back to William Penn. Now, in the year 1682, King James II of England gave William Penn this massive tract of land. Many people call that tract of land Penn's Woods, which came out to be Pennsylvania. Now, when you look at that definition, all those former owners of your property are people who thought they would live on that property forever. Now, you may be saying that that's not correct, Father Ken, because I built my home. No one ever lived in my house until I built it. Well, a house, a building, yes, is considered real estate. But true real estate is the property, the terra firma, the ground, the land. This land of Lowell Borough was here from the creation of the world. So other people have been a former owner of your property, maybe not your house if you built it. Now, when you look at that definition, that also means what? Take a good look at it. It lists the current and all former owners. All of the former owners thought they would live in that property forever, which means what? It means one day from now, 5 years from now, 30 years from now, maybe even longer, but not. You will be considered on an abstractive title a former owner of your property. That's what you're going to be listed as in the future. You don't have to raise your hand to this, but if you are currently making mortgage payments on your house and your property, you should call your banker tomorrow morning and tell that guy, hey buddy, I don't know how you did it, but you got me paying on something I'm never going to own forever. You conned me into this thing. It also means this, when you make your last mortgage payment, you're going to receive from the bank or your attorney, you're going to receive what is called a clear and free deed to your property. And you better hold on tight to that deed. The very moment you take your last breath, someone's going to walk over to you and grab that deed from your hand and pull out of your hand and say what? Guess what? You no longer own this property. I do. It's mine. That might be your son or daughter. Someone's going to take it. The state's going to take it. If you die without a will, that's going to be called intestate. And someone else is going to get your property. You see, what we have in life, we cannot keep. And that's the meaning and the message of the gospel reading, which comes out of the 12th chapter of Luke, verse 13 to 21. Let's take a look at verse 16, 17, and 18 of the 12th chapter of Luke. Then he, that's Jesus, told them a parable. There was a rich man whose land produced a bountiful harvest. He asked himself, what shall I do? For I do not have space to store my harvest. And he said, this is what I shall do. I shall tear down my barns and build larger ones. You see, this guy had a dilemma. So much has been produced, he doesn't have a place to store it. Well, there was an obvious solution right in front of this man. Either he couldn't think of it, he didn't want to think of it, or he thought of it and he quickly dismissed it. What could this man have done? He wants to tear down his barns. He wants to build larger ones. That's going to take time. That's going to take money. But he didn't have to do any of that. All he had to do was what? Yeah, right here. You're exactly right. All he had to do was this. All he had to do was share. That's all. Call in the neighbors and say, if any of you did not have the bountiful harvest I did, take my surplus. You know, the barns I have been sufficient for many years, taking care of the needs of my family and friends. I don't have to build larger ones. What I have is good enough. They're sufficient. Take my surplus. Share what you have if you have more than you need. And you know you do. But this man decided not to share. He wanted to hoard and amass and acquire and hold on to more than he needed because he thought what? He thought he was going to be able to do what? Yep, there it is. You're exactly right. Take a look at this. He thought he was going to live forever. If you right now think you're going to live forever, I'm not sure why you would think that, but if you think you're going to live forever, then clearly you can't give anything that you have away. Because you're going to live forever and you're going to need it. You're going to need the surplus if you believe you're going to live forever. You always have to accumulate, amass, collect, gather, hoard if you believe you're going to live forever. When is in your life enough enough? When is too much too much? At what point do you say in your life, okay, I have everything I need. I'm going to start to give some things away. I don't need all the stuff that I have. What does God, not Jesus, but what does God tell this man? Verse 20 is powerful, the 12th chapter of Luke. The man says, I have more than I need. I'm going to tear down my barns and build larger ones. I'll have so much. I'll be able to eat, sleep, drink, be merry. And God said to the man in verse 20, let's take a look at what he says to this guy. But God said to him, and these are two powerful words right there. You fool. You fool. And then he adds to that. This night, your life will be demanded of you. And all the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong? Well, we know this much. All the things he prepared and all things he hoarded and collected, they're not going to belong to him. And he can't put all that into the casket. He can't take any of that in which he amassed with him. He'll take his soul. He'll take his reputation, will also stay here on the face of this earth. And if he tried to gather and never share and he thought he was going to live forever, his reputation is going to be one clouded with greed. That's a powerful message. You fool. You see, there's so many things we fight to acquire while we're living, and when we die, others will fight over. You see it happen so many times in families. When a last parent dies, perhaps, and the sons, the daughters come over. And sometimes the vision is created. Why? Because a son or daughter, or sons or daughters, they're trying to gather what they actually don't need themselves. I want mom's dishes. I already have 5 sets of dishes home, but I need a 6th set, just in case company comes. Why acquire? Why divide your family when you have all this stuff you're trying to get from the last parent after they die? I don't need any more dishes. Do your kids need dishes? I don't need the silverware. You got some married kids. Do your kids need the silverware? My kids are doing so well, they don't need the silverware. What a lot of families do is this. They try to gather as much as they can. They put it in boxes, take it to their house, so that when they die, their kids will take the same boxes and take it to their house. And in the meantime, division and hurt and separation has been created to gather what you don't need, to ruin relationships with your family members, trying to get what, again, you don't need. Why not, as a son or daughter, when the last parent dies and you walk over to the house and you see all this stuff and you simply make the conclusion, I have all that I need. The other ones say, I have all that I need. Let's share it with those who don't. Let's take it someplace and give it to someone who doesn't. So many families are torn apart because they're trying to grab that which they don't need. That's a powerful gospel, that verse 20, and maybe it doesn't speak of you, and hopefully it doesn't, because if it does, it's a very challenging verse. If you are, for some reason, a kind that you didn't intentionally do it, but it became a part of your profile, if you find yourself just getting greedy and just want to kind of getting more and more and more, and every room in your house is full. Your garage is full. That's why you park your car outside in the wintertime. That doesn't make any sense. You have boxes of stuff you don't even know what's inside. That doesn't make any sense. Go through this stuff, find out what you need, what you don't need, and then decide to share, because you cannot live forever. And none of that junk and stuff you'll need. So for the person, as the man in today's gospel reading, who wanted to build those larger bins and hoard everything, if If that's your profile, and hopefully not, but if it is, maybe you can change it. But if that's your profile, what would God's response be to you? Verse 20, and I'll leave you with that. It's challenging, it's powerful, and it can hurt. God would say to him and then to you, if that be the case for you, you fool. Actually, you don't have to go any further beyond that, but we will because God did. You fool. This night your life will be demanded of you. And all the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong?